section, we're going to divide polynomials and use the rational zero test. Long division. Like in elementary school, there's my long division sign. And it's really just like you did in elementary school, except with variables. How many times does x go into x cubed? Or what times x equals x cubed? And I hope you know that it's x squared. And then just like you did in elementary school, you took this and multiplied there. Okay, here's what you get when you multiply. I write it there. It's my x squared. Okay? And then just like in elementary school, you then subtracted. So don't forget, x cubed minus x cubed is nothing. 5x squared minus 2x squared is 3x squared. Bring down your next. What times x is equal to 3x squared? Well, 3x. 3x times x plus 2 is 3x squared plus 6x. And again, remember you are subtracting. 3x squared minus 3x squared is nothing. 5x minus 6x is negative 1x, or negative x. Bring down my negative 3. What times x equals negative x? Negative 1. Negative 1 times x plus 2 is negative x minus 2. And remember, you are subtracting. A negative x minus a negative x is 0. Nothing there. Or you can think of it as plus plus. A negative 3 minus a negative 2 would be negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And that's my remainder. So my answer is, I write it like this, or I can write the quotient, the answer, and then I can also write the remainder separately. Or you can write the remainder as 1 over the what you're dividing by. And remember, the divisor times my quotient plus my remainder is equal to my dividend. So if you want, you can think of it as with numbers. You know, if you have like 7 divided by 2, that's equal to 3 with a remainder of 1, or a lot of times you write it as 3 over 3 and the remainder over my divisor. Okay? I did this here. Dividend is equal to divisor times quotient plus remainder. Okay? The remainder theorem states when a polynomial p of x is divided by x minus a, the remainder is p of a. So to apply this to synthetic division, we get the following results. Okay, so I don't know if you remember synthetic division, so let's do a little bit of synthetic division. Remember with synthetic division, I would write 1, I would write 5, negative 3. So I write all the coefficients. I'm dividing by x plus 2, so this is always the opposite sign of that. To do synthetic division, you first bring down your 1. You take your 1 times the negative 2 and put it under the negative 5. And then after that, you would do 5 plus the negative 2 is 3. And then repeat the process. Negative 2 times the 3 is negative 6. Add. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. Add. And so my result would be 1x squared plus 3x minus 1 with a remainder of negative 1. Okay? So if I started with an x cubed and I divided with an x, it would be down to an x squared. So it's always 1 less. So the degree then would be 1 less. And if you wanted to write the form of the answer, you could also write it as, there's my answer, remainder is 1, so it's 1 over my divisor. okay? And if some of this doesn't make sense to you, look at it with simple numbers. 5 divided by 2 is 2 remainder 1, or 2 and 1 over 2, which is 2.5. Okay? So make sure, just look at it with simple numbers and it should make sense. Next one. The factors theorem. For a polynomial, p of x, x minus a is a factor if and only if p of a is equal to 0. And I hope that makes sense. If this is equal to 0, it'll be a factor. Remainder 0, it divides in evenly, it is a factor. So that's what that says. Using synthetic division, the divisor is a factor, also a quotient, when the last number is 0. So it divides in evenly. When the last number isn't 0, what you divide by won't be a factor, and the quotient won't be a factor. Neither are factors. So if it divides it evenly, it's a factor. Okay? 0 last number means divided evenly, means it's a factor. So find the quotient, the remainder, of x cubed plus 8x squared minus 5x minus 84. The first thing you want to do, everything written? No. First thing you want to do, the divisor is -5, or for synthetic division, the divisor for synthetic division. I have x cubed, it's a 1x cubed, the squared, 8, the x term, the constant. If I change this, and let's say I did not have that term there, you wouldn't just write 1, -584. This would have to be a 0. You have to have fillers in if something's missing. So bring down your 1. 1 times a -5. 8 and -5 is 3. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. So the quotient is now x squared plus 3x minus 20 with a remainder of 16, or plus 16 over my divisor, which is x plus 5. And you're done. So quotients, x squared plus 3x minus 20, your remainder is 16. Determine if x minus 3 is a factor. If it is, factor completely. So 3 is my synthetic divisor, coefficient of my cubed, coefficient of my squared, coefficient of my x. Bring down your 1. 1 times 3. Add. 8 times 3. Add. 3 times 7. Add. So now here's what I just did. I took this x cubed plus 5x squared minus 17x, and I know it factors into an x minus 3 times an x squared plus 8x plus 7. So here's my little factor tree. Okay? Now, do we factor this additionally? That down. X and an x, 7 and a 1, and there it's factored. So if I factor it completely, that's what x cubed plus 5x squared minus 17x, whoops, that's right, minus 21. Minus 21 factors into. And you're done. Like I said, this was x squared plus 8x plus 7. So I had to continue to factor that. Example 3. Show that x plus 2 is a factor. Then factor completely. So I have a -2. I have a 2. I have a 3. I have a -8 and a -12. Bring down the 2. 2 times a -2. Is -4. Add. Multiply. Add. Whoops. Is that right? Nope. -6. Multiply. Add. So my original cubic factored into, if I did a factor tree, factored into an x plus 2, and then it factored into a 2x squared minus x minus 6. And let's keep going. X plus 2. Let's see if this factors more. So it's either 1 and a 6 or a 2 and a 3, and it looks like a 2 and a 3 will work. That would give us negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Factored completely. Because this factors into those two. Done. Show that x plus 3 and x minus 4 are factors of the x to the 4th, and then factor this completely. So let's start with the x plus 3. So I have a negative 3 here. Coefficient of the x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x to the 2nd, x, and the constant term. Bring down your 1. 1 times a negative 3. Add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. So now at this point, here's where I am. X plus 3 times, I started with the 4th power, so now I'm at a cubic. X cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x plus 8. Now I want to show that x minus 4 is a factor. Do not start from the beginning. Start from here. Because this is my original factored into, so now I'm going to show that x minus 4, and this will be some x squared when I do synthetic division. So let's try it. Minus 4 will be a plus 4 there. Bring down your 1, 4, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So now I'm at x squared minus x minus 2. So it's like a big factor tree. Let's continue my factor tree. X plus 3, x minus 4, and let's see what this factors into. Minus 2 plus 1. So I showed that they were factors, the remainder was 0, and then I factored it completely. Done with this one. Find the quotient in the remainder of x to the 5th plus 3x squared plus 4 divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1. There's two different ways to do it. You could do long division if you wanted to do it that way. You could also do synthetic division. And with synthetic division, I know that x squared plus 2x plus 1 factors into an x plus 1 quantity squared, or x plus 1, x plus 1. So I can do synthetic division twice with negative 1. Here are my coefficients: x to the 5th, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, x squared, the x coefficient, and the constant term. Notice zeros if I don't have the terms. And then do synthetic division, and you have this all on your notes printed out. And then I started with x to the 5th, now I'm at x to the 4th. My remainder is 6, which is 6 over my divisor. And then do the same thing, where you left off here. So that's where I left off. Synthetic division again, bring down your 1. Multiply, add, and so forth. And so now I have x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. Remainder of negative 1, so plus negative 1 over my divisor. If I divide this last one, this is the only thing I didn't do. I did not divide that by x plus 1. So if you divide by x plus 1, that's divided by x plus 1. That's why my last term is 6 over x plus 1 quantity squared. Okay? Now, what I did is I just got a common denominator. So I simplified the last two terms, did not have a common denominator. So the second to the last term, I got a common denominator, which is x plus 1 times x plus 1. So I multiplied by 1, or x plus 1 over x plus 1. Distribute. Have my common denominator, so I can combine like terms. And there are my like terms combined. There is my answer. There is my remainder. We're done. What is P of 2 if P of x is equal to 2x cubed minus 9x squared plus 27? Well, what you could do is just plug it in, right? You can just plug in and find your answer. You could also use some synthetic division and find your answer. You could put a 2 right there and do synthetic division. Bring down your 2. If I have anything, I don't know if I could bring it. I don't. 2 times 2 is 4. Add, multiply, add, multiply, add. There's my answer too. Also, look how quick that was compared to all of this. And the reason it works, I kind of showed you right here why it works. Here's your 27 at the end that you're adding. This ends up to be your negative 20 and so forth. So when you start with this right here, I wrote it a little different way. I factored out an x from here. So I got this. And then I took this and factored out an x from there. And then this is the first thing I did right here. So really you're just starting with that 2, and then you're subtracting 9. So there's your subtracting 9, and so forth. But synthetic division works so quickly that you can easily use synthetic division instead of plugging in. Use synthetic division to find P of 2, and that's exactly what I just did. Did it on the previous page. That is so quick. It's always the last number. So that is so much faster than doing this. So much faster. That just takes you so I just wanted to show you how fast synthetic division works instead of plugging in. And you're probably less likely to make a mistake. Use synthetic substitution to find P of 3. So 3 is my divisor. Cubed, squared, no x term, constant. Bring down my 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Add, 7 times 3 is 21. Add, 21 times 3 is 63. Add, the answer is 66. That's a lot faster than doing 3 cubed is 27 times 4 is whatever it is, 108 minus. It just takes you a lot longer if you don't use synthetic division. So P of 3, like I said, is 66. For the next polynomial, I'm going to find P of 3. Real quick. Bring down the 3. Multiply 9. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. So P of 3 for this polynomial is 280. If f is a 0 of f of x is equal to 3x squared plus kx minus 2, find the value of k. Since 4 is a 0, f of 4 will equal 0. So this last number here will equal 0. So let's use synthetic division. 4 is my divisor. 3 is the coefficient of the cube. 0 is the coefficient of the squared. K is the coefficient of the x. And negative 2 is my constant term. Bring down your 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. That is equal to 0. And then solve it for k. So So if you move over the 190 to the other side, or you can move the 4K over, it doesn't matter, and then divide by 4. There's your answer.